pressure low. It'll be grand.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you may be, and welcome back to what seems like an age to normal. Sure, it'll be grand. This is a show about two Irish Egypts. One is I, Daniel, and two is Owen. Say hello, Owen.
Hello.
And yeah, we're back to our normal week-to-week recordings. Did you guess it? Did you figure out the clues? Did you make it out? Did Owen make it out? Did you figure out what we're going to do?
No, I'm completely blind here. I don't know.
Even now, after watching the movie,
I have no idea what we're talking about today. I couldn't pick it up at all, even from you sending me a link and saying, "Hey, this is what we're watching," and then watching it. I still don't know what we're doing today. It's crazy.
No, see, we're going on a bit here, but like, there's a part of people here saying, like, you won't understand the movie that we watched like yesterday. It's not a hard movie to watch.
No, I will say I'll be surprised if people have seen it.
Yeah, I suppose. Like, so some of the clues I've used were
not that it's like really niche or like some weird like unwatched movie. It's pretty new, is the thing. It only came out like a couple of months ago.
We'll say though, before we'll actually mention the movie, it is slightly hipster. It is slightly indie. It's yeah, I know it's on Amazon, but it's not like it hasn't been plastered around everywhere. I saw the odd trailer here and there, but it's not a big movie either.
No, definitely no. It's not. It's not a big. No. It wasn't like there wasn't a big marketing campaign for like, hey, sign up for Prime Video and you can watch this. Look, it's got people in it. It's not that kind of movie either.
Should we tell them then? Should we tell them which movie we're watching?
No,
should we keep going until the very end?
I don't think we should tell them.
Look, we'll tell them. We'll tell them. The movie is called The Map of Tiny Perfect Things. It's a 2021 movie, which is now, I believe. Look, I made that joke with just time travel and stuff. Who knows where we are at this stage? Also, it's COVID time, so it doesn't really count, does it? It's still like end of 2019 for me, I feel.
The last year hasn't counted for much.
Yeah, no, it hasn't. It's just been a really shitty long bank holiday weekend where the pubs are closed. Yeah, the pubs. Anyway, yes. So this movie, just a quick breakdown of it, are but two teens. I think they're both seniors in high school. At least that's the impression I'm getting because of what they're planning to do with their lives and that kind of stuff. And they're caught in a time loop. And time loops aren't a unique things in movies. Now, there's when I was doing my research on this and just thinking about time-related movies in general, there are different types of time loop movies. There are the time loop movies where the events happened and then people travel back in time to see what happened themselves as a separate entity to the beings in that time frame. So that's more like Looper, if you ever heard of Looper.
I have, yeah. Wasn't a huge fan.
No. Yeah, go on.
My experience with Looper, I'm pretty sure, is that I've tried to watch it a couple of times and never managed to finish it because I was just like, whatever.
Yeah.
I think it was the weird, like, they used like CG to try and make Joseph Gordon-Levitt look like Bruce Willis, and I was just like, no, I can't do it. I'm sorry, guys, I can't do it.
No. They're very different, basically. Yeah. Also, I'm not sure if you watched this movie either, Primer.
Don't think I've seen that, no.
Two engineering fellas who basically went, well, wait a second, we can build a time machine. And it's literally just a box, but they can kind of travel back in time. So there's those movies where people from the future come back to not really experience themselves in the moment, but perceive the moment. So they see their younger selves. But this is not what this movie is. This movie is people wake up, they have their day, they go to sleep, and bam, the day starts again. And they remember everything in it, but they're in their own younger bodies and they continue to experience it. And there's been a few movies like this. Source Code, kind of. You remember Source Code?
I remember Source Code. Yeah, yeah, kind of. Yeah.
Well, they kept on going back into the body that they were in. It's not that all these movies have kind of different explanations of how it happened. So like we have source code. We have Palm Springs, which we watched only recently ourselves,
which is
a couple
this
of
movie.
friends. Kinda, very similar. I mean, it's kind of hard to do, especially if you're going to add a romance thing. It's only two things.
It's
hey,
like
there's time loop
yeah,
and there's romance.
There's especially though because Palm Springs only came out last year, and it's essentially like they're both romantic comedy time loop movies. I think the key difference is that in Palm Springs they're both like super cynical, shitty adults, and in this movie the main characters are like teenagers who are like nice people, sort of. And they're kind of like they're
nice
looking
people.
at they're looking at the time loop. At least one of them is looking at it in sort of a romantic, poetic sort of sense, and like experiencing things and all that kind of shit. Whereas Palm Springs was kind of like everything sucks. I hate everything. Fuck this shit.
I was gonna say there's a character, Catherine in it, and like when she said she wanted to be an astronaut, I was like, oh, she's gonna be the one, like in Palm Springs, where she's going to research everything about time and figure this out and have like a doctorate of it. Literally, almost thought they were the same character. They weren't.
Margaret.
Obviously, Margaret.
Catherine's the actress.
So Catherine is the actress name. Come on, those are two very Irishy girl names. So then we have Groundhog's Day. I mean, everyone. Groundhog Day.
Just one, singular groundhog.
No, the sequel actually it's a lesser known sequel. No one ever hears of.
Groundhog's Days.
Groundsy Hogsy Days. It's the Swedish version of it. Yeah, and then The Edge of Tomorrow, which with your favorite person in the world.
Live, die, repeat.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. And all these movies have different reasons why things are going on the way out. Source code is something about computer analysis, sending
source code is like a military thing.
I'm
pretty sure. Like spoilers for source code. It turns out at the end that this guy is like he's like a he's some sort of agent type person, and he's being sent to a specific time loop to figure out that there's like a bomb on a train or something. He's been sent to figure out. Like,
there's a terrorist actually wants to do something later on. Yeah.
He's been sent to figure out who has the bomb so they can stop it or something along those lines. I think. It gets a bit weird at the end. Good movie though.
Yeah. Did they ever explain how it happened in Palm Springs or
no? Palm Springs doesn't really. There's just some weird temporal
magic
thing happening in a cave, and they fall into it and get stuck in a time loop. They never really offer much of an explanation.
Now, Groundhog Day. Now, officially, with the movie we have, there is no explanation of why he's repeating the day. However, in the original script, I'm not sure how you feel about the canonicity of that kind of thing. It was explained that he had an ex-girlfriend who basically said if he didn't, unless he found true love, he would be cursed to live the day again and again and again. I'm glad they took it out because that's stupid.
Yeah.
And Edge of Tomorrow, alien invasion, and they need to figure out a way of beating up the aliens, and they just keep living the day again and again and again until they figure out a way to beat them. That's pretty much it, isn't it?
Tom Cruise gets killed by one of the like higher up aliens, and it turns out that the aliens have a thing in their blood or in their venom or some shit that allows them to, like the mother alien, because they're like hive mind things. The main big one has some weird alien power that she can do time loopy things, and Tom Cruise gets eaten by one or infected by one of them, and he gets stuck in living the same day over and over again.
Do you ever hated that when that we're dealing with like, oh yeah, we want to introduce like an alien civilization and see how they're built? People who write it always revert to they're like ants or something.
Do I hate it?
It happens. I mean, isn't it a bit boring?
Look, I have no problem. If I was Tom Cruise, I'd be happy enough living in that time loop because you get to get beaten up by Emily Blunt every day for the rest of forever. So
see, I thought you were going to be the more boy element of it. Like you get to wear a cool fucking huge armor suit and just shoot people around. No, I like being beaten up by girls.
Nope.
Anyway, so the director is Ian Samuels. He has worked on Sierra Burks is a Loser 2018. Myrna the Monster, which is a short movie, and Caterwall, which actually won a few awards.
Well,
I keep saying rewards.
Sierra
Awards.
Burgess is a Loser is one of the worst movies I've ever seen in my life.
Oh,
It's genuinely awful. It's about a girl who is catfishing
is a
a guy.
loser. Oh,
Yeah.
like, so do you mean awful as in it's badly done, or like, oh, that's terrible now, Jesus?
Both.
Okay, all right.
Both of those
Cool.
things are terrible.
So it got the artistic response, but also the quality response from you.
Yeah, I mean, even it's got a moral response also. I think it's a terrible thing, and it shouldn't be used as a plot device for a rom-com. It's awful.
Yeah, and Caterwall, which apparently won quite a few awards there. I'm not sure what that's about. We could check that out sometime, I suppose. Then Lev Grossman is a writer, and he's been mostly writing for a show called The Magicians, which I believe you know stuff about, and I have no clue.
He didn't write the show. He wrote the novel trilogy that the show was based on. The Magicians trilogy, which is the first one in particular, is like super popular. It's kind of like a Harry Pottery type thing. It's like a secret school for magic sort of thing, but it's more adult, and it's deals with a lot of kind of like the common themes of fantasy and tries to like invert them in some places. It's pretty. I haven't read, like, the book is super popular. I haven't actually read it yet. I've been meaning to for a long time. The show was like a sci-fi TV show, which was like sort of Tumblr popular for a while. I think it ran for like 5 or 6 seasons. It's sort of like God, what would I compare it to? Do you remember Merlin?
I do. That was peak level Tumblr.
I'd put it kind of on the same level as that. It's because you know, Sci-Fi Channel, that sort of thing.
Yeah, though Merlin was on BBC.
Was it?
Yeah.
Oh, well,
it was like at the same level as like Sherlock and Doctor Who. Like, these are the big things.
Really? Oh, I always thought.
Maybe I'm wrong. I'm fairly sure I'm right though.
Oh, maybe you are. I always thought Merlin was just looking at it looked like a sci-fi production. Yeah. But yeah, Magicians was a Sci-Fi Channel production. It you know, not terrible, but not great either.
As someone who was like into like Sherlock and Doctor Who, I really wanted to enjoy Merlin because they were always kept in the same family. Oh, I didn't. I really didn't care for it at all. Yeah. But yeah, we have Catherine Newton Margaret. Both actors still fairly young and early in their careers, but promising. So sorry, I'm mixing up again. Catherine Newton, who plays Margaret. Sorry.
Her full name, Catherine.
This is the problem.
Catherine Newton Margaret.
I'm not using IMDb anymore. I just copy and pasting to a notepad, so I have like loads of notes, but it loses control of all sort of structure. Anyway, Catherine Newton, who plays Margaret. Well, yeah, and you also know her from Detective Pikachu. She also is in a movie called Freaky, in which she starred as a high schooler who switches body with the local serial killer, which is
Vince Vaughn.
Yeah, Vince Vaughn, which actually kind of sounds intriguing.
It's a recent movie as well. It's actually supposed to be pretty okay. Yeah, it's like Freaky Friday, but they put a twist on it. You know?
And then that weird movie where John Cena is in it, where the parents are trying to stop their kids from having sex on their. What do the Americans do again at the end of high school? They have parties and go off to dance.
Prom?
That's the one. When on prom, and all the parents have freaked out that their kids might have sex. But, yeah.
Okay.
And it's just the parents going on a mission to stop having sex.
Are they like Republican Baptists or something, these parents?
No, it's just no, not really. No, I think they're just like, oh, these are our little girls. It's like, okay.
All right, dude. Yeah, cool.
I guess maybe because it's also most of the like all the kids are like girls, so I feel like that's probably just Americanism. Like, oh, boys will be boys, but girls, no.
I don't know. Sounds crap, to be honest, but I know the movie Blockers got some sort of positive reception, but
John Cena chugged a beer and it was in it.
Oh, well, that explains the positive reviews. I mean, I want to see that.
That's what we miss out of Citizen Kane.
That's all Citizen Kane was missing, was somebody chugging a beer up their ass. That's what it should have had. That's what Rosebud meant.
Yeah,
Citizen Kane. That's what he was talking about.
She's about 22, 23 in this. Like, obviously not in the movie, but the actress is about 22, 23. So she's still in that Hollywood-esque, hey, we can have someone who's 30 who kind of looks like they could still be a teenager in a high school age movie. And then we have Kyle Allen. He's currently in a post-production of West Side Story. I guess a recording of it, which great bit. Then we have
that's
All My Life. Where
Steven Spielberg.
Oh,
is
fantastic!
making West Side Story is due out this year.
Well, I'm looking forward to that. It's a great story. Then Kyle Campbell in American Horror Story, or is that All My Life? Kyle Campbell. He plays Kyle Campbell in one of those.
Well, I don't know, man.
He was American Horror Story anyway in 2018. I mean, no surprise to anyone with Kazi, like he has no knowledge about American Horror Story stuff, I imagine.
No, not particularly. I know what it is. I guess I know some minor details about it. I would not have recognized that this Kyle Allen chap had been in it because I don't watch it.
Yeah, I mean, the closing thing I can say, there's a hotel, and I think Lady Gaga was in.
Lady Gaga's there.
That's
I
think
she's in it for a couple of seasons, and I know it's like an anthology thing, so every season is a different story, a different theme, and it's the same.
So actors, the cast play different.
Actors playing different characters, essentially. Yeah, that's about it. I know there was a circus themed season that was supposed to be good, but I don't know.
Okay, I mean, look, it's just not a thing that would appeal to me. But I think we'll call for that and move on to the next. I mean, what the hell is going on? So we kind of hinted at it already. We meet Kyle. It's Kyle, isn't it?
Mark. Kyle is the actor. Mark is the character.
Sorry, again, I'm going to just start using IMDb again. Sorry. But Mark is... well, he's not the main actor now, because if you watched the movie, we learned that it wasn't about his story, it was about her story.
Well, he's not... He is not the reason... The time loop does not exist for Mark to learn something or complete a task or anything like along those lines. Kind of. I mean, he does learn things about himself, I guess. But
how do you feel about those nebulous reasons? Like, we get a hint of, there's a hypercube involved, Tesla cube, or whatever cube is called, Tesseract cube. And yeah, she was able to recreate it, and it's this reason why she's here. Like, what do you feel about that cosmic nanny, as Mark so nicely called it?
Well, like, they kind of just say in the movie that she wanted time to stop, so it just did. Like, they don't really say, it wasn't like she was a mad scientist who was purposefully trying to mess with time or anything. She is, like, interested in science and stuff. But, like, she kind of just was going through some shit personally, and she was like, I need time to stop. I don't want to continue with my life. I can't face this. So time just was like, oh yeah, sure, no problem. let's just go for it. Like,
but,
and they're like, like the universe gave her Mark in the time loop with her, so she didn't have to do it alone or that kind of thing. Like, but so he's really the main character. Like, they're both main characters. It kind of seeps into the other. But yeah, Mark wakes up, and the first thing, and I think it's really well shot. You just see him going through town. He has lived this life a million times. He stops a cup from falling off the ground. He stops a bird from pooping on this fella, who's actually Lev Grossman, the writer for it as well, which is a nice little reference. I wonder how many times they made a mistake there. Now I say it made me sound really stupid, because it makes it sound like I thought there was someone with a bird above timing the shot, but really they just shot it and then had a person being stopped. There was an actual bird sitting on that side of that building, and the 16 times that little moment happens in the movie repeatedly is just one. They just didn't let it happen once and shot it from a bunch of different angles at the same time.
The movies, the price of the movie was actually 500 million. They just had to film it so many times. They wasted so much time and so much money on that scene alone, you know.
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah. It's tough. It's tough, you know. It's a big ask. If you're going to make it, let's make a time loop movie, but let's actually create a time loop. It's kind of crazy.
Oh yeah, that's actually they actually made a local time event occur. They created a black hole, and they used a tesseract, and that's how tesseracts works. The way she explained it, that's exactly how tesseracts work, isn't it?
Sure. I don't know what you're asking me. I don't know anything about it.
Yeah, okay, fair enough.
It could be. I don't care.
Hey, look, let's be fair. Every time I had like this movie got this wrong, and the movie actually, Daniel, we had this covered. Just wait a second.
It's literally like there was at least 5 times throughout the movie where one of them would say something about time, like Mark would have a stupid theory or something, and he'd say it, and Dan would go, "That's not how that works. That's not scientifically accurate." And then the next sentence would be Margaret's character explaining, no, that's not how that works, and giving like a different reason.
Honestly, I think like Margaret and I would get along well. Like we're on the same level there.
Yeah, I'm much more of a Mark kind of character, I think.
Yeah. You just want to talk about Pokemon and collecting things.
I want to collect Pokemon, and see, as well as that, like their viewpoint on it is different as well, which is I thought was interesting watching this, because this is a rom-com. Yes. There's not a whole lot of calm in it, but it's a romantic.
It's rom nice.
It is a romantic kind of coming of age teenage story, which I love. I love those kind of stories.
Stand by Me.
All of those kind of things like that I'm fascinated by as a genre, and love watching. But it felt like this movie was somebody trying to take the shit that I like in movies and some shit that you like in movies and mushing them together into one film. Because it has all the like coming of age, romantic little like beautiful gestures and like poetic, like Mark looking for the map of tiny perfect things and all this kind of stuff. But it also has all these like scientific like sci-fi elements and like Doctor Who references and stuff going on. It's like,
the Doctor Who reference got me off guard. And it wasn't just like once. It's like one of the reasons that he realized he was in a time was Doctor Who, and boy, I feel that.
Because there was no new episode of Doctor Who. That's what it was, wasn't it?
Yeah, exactly. And at least, like, I know a lot of people are going to stick their nose up against it. Oh, this is not sci-fi, but it is really. There's an event occurring which is science related, and we see these characters dealing with that. They don't solve it really through science, I don't think, in my personal opinion. But
no, it's not like it's not visually sci-fi.
No,
in that sense, it's not like futuristic sort of like technological stuff. In everything, it's not. There's no space stuff involved.
Yeah, there's no electronics. It's
not like it's not like your visual trappings of a sci-fi film, but there's a lot of sci-fi elements to it. I mean, it's a time. It is. They talk a lot about the stars and about time and about the fourth dimension and all this kind of stuff. So it's like
and sci-fi movies aren't about doing science experiments and see what happens. That's not what they're always about. A lot of it is about how would people deal in such situations? How would they cope with it? And this movie is all about coping with, you're pretty much immortal, stuck in this moment in time. And we don't know how long Mark has been in the time loop, which I found interesting. I mean, I'm guessing at least a couple of months.
Oh, it's been it's definitely been a while. It's because it's at the point where, at least in the route we see him follow in the mornings on his bicycle, like he knows everything along that route, exactly when and as it's going to happen. Like he's practiced things,
and without a watch, that's a big thing. He's aware of the situation.
Just spatially, he's aware of where everything that's happening in the town, or at least on his route, because he's done it so many times, and it always happens the same. You know, I mean, to be fair, that's a thing. Talking of like time loop, these kind of movies in general, that's a thing that you see quite often. I mean, just Groundhog stated that. Yeah, Palm Springs even more recently did the exact same thing. Like the opening scene, basically, where you meet Andy Samberg's character. I was going to just call him Brooklyn Nine-Nine there for a second. The Lonely Island.
Island,
the Lonely Island guy, Andy Samberg. The opening scene, where you first meet him, is him. It's like heavily implied. You don't quite realize it at the time, I guess. Because we watched Palm Springs together. You weren't aware that it was a time loop movie going into it.
No,
I was the only one that was aware it was a time loop movie. Everyone else didn't know what it was, so everyone was kind of like, I think about 20 minutes in, someone went, "Oh, is he stuck in a time loop?" I was like, "Yes,"
Yeah,
because he was moving through the party, like he knew exactly how to sidestep people and pick up glasses at the right time and all that kind of stuff. So it's a very common thing to see in it. But I kind of did it.
And it's cool. I love those shots because
They're
obviously
always,
they take a lot of
they take a lot of blocking and a lot of practice to get right. And I think this one kind of did it in, like, there was sort of like almost a very long take at the start of Mark on his bike, like traveling around and throwing the coffee cup into the dustbin and all that kind of stuff. So it was cool.
It definitely was. The reason I mentioned the time thing is because we come across Catherine Newton's character, Margaret. And I was trying to remember, did she have a nickname? But I guess she didn't.
No, just Margaret.
No,
I think
Margaret. See, I guess because maybe it's me, but like Margaret is either shortened or nicknamed in Ireland, our generation. Previous generations, the name Margaret would be more common as the full name, I think. That's what. Yeah,
they call her Maggie or something.
Yeah, or Mags or whatever. Like, but yeah, it's every time I was like, is that her name? Weird. But yeah, because she suddenly appears to him because he at the beginning of the movie he's trying to flirt with this girl who I hope he definitely checked the ID of. Quite young looking. Anyway, and like he's at the swimming pool and she's just walking around and he catches her and like tries to flirt with her and take her for a walk back to her house. She never comes back after that. It was pretty much the end of that. And
she's there. She's there.
Yeah.
She's in the background every time they're at the swimming pool, and that's how he meets Margaret.
Yeah, because Margaret actually hits the ball away herself. And she's asking people where this dog is. And he's just like, wait, that happened. That didn't happen before. And I find that interesting because there's a part of me is saying, like, surely there's like a butterfly effect happening that he might have squeezed his orange box where he was drinking the wrong way that day and which moved everyone a little bit differently. So that must happen as well. Like it must. Like not everything can be on this.
Yeah, it's
total.
Like it's not like I think like as long as during this phase when we first meet Mark, he's stuck in a time loop both like temporarily and he's also like basically doing the same thing every day. Like he follows the same route in his bike. He goes to the swimming pool every single day and he's like they show that he's practiced this bit to try and like stop this girl from falling into the swimming pool and save her and stuff.
Yeah.
So he is not like actively doing anything different to change anything. But it does later in the movie he can clearly do things differently. Like he does this weird setup for Margaret in the gym and he goes to his sister's football game and the score in the football game changes because he's now at the game and stuff like that. So it's not like it's not like everything is completely fixed within the day. It's just that they can't get out of the day.
And I guess that's the whole point of this movie. Of course it's about time travel and all that, but at the end of the day it's about two kids or soon to be adults who are going to leave school. They're during summer or whatever they're doing, and they're ready to take on life. And we know from Margaret, for example, spoiler alert, her mother is dying, and she doesn't want to move past this stage. She doesn't want to move past this life, this existence, the comfort and what she knows. So she's terrified of the unknown, even though she has all these plans for the future. She wants to be an astronaut, and she has all these ideas of getting there. She's still kind of frozen, petrified of what tomorrow could bring. And like we can see it with Mark. Mark wants to kind of be an artist, but he knows his parents don't want that. His parents want him to go and study banking, I think it was, or business or something like that. Something I think it's dry.
Just anything that will like get him a job straight out of college.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, you go to art school. What the hell do you do there?
Yeah.
Like, whoop-de-doo.
Yeah, and I think a big part of that is, again, his parents are scared about the future. They can't afford it because his dad lost his job recently, and maybe that's a part of it. Like, he said, look, we've lost our job. First of all, we want you to have a job that will make you money, and second of all, like, we can't pay for it, and we're terrified about your future as much as we are terrified of our own future. So there's a whole family dynamic, and I guess Mark isn't aware of that a lot of times because he's so inverted into his own little routine and lifestyle and what he wants to do. That, and maybe it's also because of the constant pressure from his parents that he's kind of blinded himself to anything else in the family. Like, why this is happening? No, it's just happening to me. That's why I'm hyper focusing.
Yeah, Mark's issue and the key thing that he has to learn in this is very much that he is not the center of the universe.
Yeah.
Like, even the most obvious thing with that is that he has to realize that the time loop is not even about him. It's about Margaret.
No.
He's there to help her, and
he's not a bad guy. Like,
no, he's by
that's
no
the big part.
He's by no means a bad person or anything. He's just intensely focused on his own plans and his own future and what
how he interacts with the world around him, how the world interacts with him. That's all it matters to him. And I guess that's what most of the first half of the movie is. It's he knows how to walk in this world and how to make himself seem cool and important and significant in every single way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, which is what he does. That's how he spends his days in the time loop at the beginning. Like, he buys himself a winning lottery ticket every morning. Like, he knows the numbers now, so he buys himself the winning ticket and just has random people in a cafe cheer for him for winning the lotto. Whereas later in the movie, he gives the ticket to somebody else.
Yeah. And even if we want to look at Margaret, the things she wants to achieve or perceive and all that are nothing like his things. Like when she goes out to the pond and just sees the bird come in and take a fish out, that's nothing to do with her. She just wants to see her. She just wants to see life. And I'm not trying to say that also she's perfect. She's not. She's currently traumatized and trying to stick in this very sheltered life. She doesn't want to move. She doesn't want to really go on. Maybe that's also why the whole astronaut thing was mentioned. Maybe it was just such a ludicrous thing to aspire to, because she might as well aspire to the ludicrous because she's not moving on anyway.
Yeah, I'd say so. I think that's kind of the best thing about it is that they're kind of inverted almost, the two of them.
Yeah.
In how they approach not just life in general, what they want, who they are as a person is kind of almost like they have opposite philosophies on things, and then slowly that kind of flips. Mark becomes more intensely appreciative of other people and of the day-to-day moments that happen all around him, and not just things in his own life, things that you can't even see that are happening all the time, like the tiny perfect things. And Margaret is much more she's definitely more of a dreamer sort of character at the start. She's kind of her goals are like you said, they're really high dreams. Not that they're completely unachievable.
No, anybody, not.
But they're clearly oh, I'm gonna pick this and this one. It's never gonna happen, but I'm just gonna pick it and I'm just gonna kind of float through this. And I don't want, my plans aren't really gonna happen, so I don't need to. I'm not rushing towards my future or anything. I need things to stop.
Literally the opposite of rushing to trying not to go to her future. Yeah. And again, when you said dreamer, I hope it doesn't come off to people that she's just airy fairy. She's not. She's clearly dealing with a terrible moment in her life. Her mother is dying every single day at a certain time, and she's just detached herself. She's detached herself from time continuing. She just wants to hope. She wants to do nothing else. She doesn't want to be dragged along to somewhere else.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So the reason I way back asked how long he's been in there, because they suddenly come across each other, and it's just it's part of me saying, why haven't they come across each other before? I guess after how long do you think it took him to understand the pattern in the town? A month or two? 3 months?
I think it's been longer, to be quite honest. I think even from the start of this movie to the end of it, quite a long period of time passes. Because even just from the date plot that he sets up for Margaret in the gym, that alone must have taken him months
Practice, yeah.
months of doing the same thing over and over again every day to try and figure out like how to get it to work quickly enough that he can do it. Even just him like throwing the water bottle into the gym doors.
Yeah.
I think your one is like, wow, you practice that, and he's like, oh, millions of times.
Especially because you can only really practice that once a day.
Yeah, that's the thing.
With that door, like
you get it to do it once a day. You have every day of the rest of forever to get it right, but it's still. I don't know. I think these kids are now like thousands of years old, basically.
I mean, maybe, yeah. It's interesting that they never talked about that, though. I guess maybe because it's irrelevant. I guess, I mean, it's very easy to feel like these characters, especially at the moment during COVID times, this fear of, what's going to come next or what's happening now, and every day melting into the same day. Like, I think we talked about that while watching the movie.
Well, we were saying like if you were stuck in a time loop, like what would you end up doing if every day was the exact same? Like, would you? Because people are always like, oh yeah, I'd read every book ever and I'd teach myself to play the piano and blah blah all this kind of shit. But like, we've basically been stuck in a fucking time loop for the last year and a half, and I've done jack shit of any of those things.
Excuse me. Us doing this very thing is proof that we've done one thing at least.
Okay. We did one thing, but like I've like, it's not like the vast list of books I have that I want to read has been dented into at all. Every day is still the same, and it doesn't have to be. I could have spent this time doing new things.
This is like a one-time opportunity in your life. Like, I know you later on in life when you retire or whatever, you have more time, but to be in your prime and to be given like a year and a bit to do,
that's the thing,
like, a lot.
Because that's what I was saying. It's like, I think if I was stuck in a time loop and I knew that I essentially had all of forever to do these things, I'd probably keep procrastinating and just be like, yeah, but I could read Machiavelli whenever. Like, I have literally forever. I don't know how long it would take me to finally be like, screw it. Yeah, let's start bettering myself and doing more things.
I started going dark in this movie, and it's weird because this movie isn't super dark, but like there was probably like, you just go on a murder spree just for the crack of it at one stage. Like, I'm not saying like 2 months in. I'm talking like a few 100 years in. You go, sure, why not?
You would, yeah. Well, that's why I think like because that's one thing that Palm Springs does deal with.
Yeah,
Palm Springs is a lot more like it feels to me a lot more how like I would have spent my time in a time loop. Like, just
100%. Andy Samberg is very open about having had sex with just about every person he knows. He's
just like, he's had sex with everybody at the wedding. He's killed people. He's robbed banks. He's done other mad shit.
Yeah. Because here's the thing, right? And don't get me wrong, but like with criminal things, like let's say murder, for example, or burning down houses, the reason these things are terrible is because they have repercussions. People suffer for a long time because of it, right? But when the slate is wiped clean at the end of the day and you're living a mundane, boring life over and over again, you probably at least consider it. You just go, look, experience them different.
I honestly didn't think that this nice little romantic teenage movie would be the movie that would have us announce to our listeners that we are psychopaths. But here we are.
I don't think it's psychopaths. Because like even in the movie we were watching, they were talking about like everyone is still asleep.
The only reason you don't murder people is because there's repercussions.
The emotional repercussions. I mean, I'm going to be honest with you. Thinking about it now, it would probably still affect me deeply in a really bad way.
It would be awful.
Especially because you see them alive every day afterwards.
Like,
keeps being reminded, like, you're this terrible. Like,
I know what I did to him yesterday. Oh God.
You just be probably really nice to them for the rest of the loop. Then it's like, hey, buddy. Dan,
you'd be the J.K. Simmons character from Palm Springs.
Just go off once in a while.
It's like once every 6 weeks or so, just kill somebody for the crime.
Yeah. Oh God, folks, I'm actually very empathetic. You know, I care a lot about people, but again, like okay, so I think this movie explains it because after a while, everyone in that world would seem like a robot. Would seem like they're puppets running on the same programming every single day. Obviously, I mean they're not in a technical way because the moment you interact with them, they would respond in different ways throughout the day, and there would be a knock-on effect. But yeah, it does make you think about that. But then they turned that around, and they looked. And I think we get this as teenagers and people in their 20s, and probably some people ongoing throughout their lives, where they look at the rest of the world and see the world as this performative place where things are just going back the mainstream humdrum. They're doing exactly what they do every day. Oh, these people have no internal monologue. They have nothing huge depth of detail inside them. But then I think a lot of people grow out of that and kind of go like, no, they do. And I was constantly obsessed about how they were thinking and not really doing anything myself that had any sort of depth or purpose or meaning. There's nothing wrong with a simple life. There's a lot wrong with judging people for it. Also, murder them. It's fine.
Yeah.
That's
fuck other people. That's the lesson Dan took from this.
Yeah, if people are boring, kill them. That's it.
Well, they're all
that's
robots.
how it works. Yeah,
it's all a simulation anyway. Who cares? Yeah. Fuck it.
Okay, so one of my favorite characters in this movie is in this movie. Believe it or not, did you know that? One of my favorite persons in this movie is in this movie. So Mark has a friend called Henry, and he's just this guy who sits in his bedroom with the most amazing bedroom in the world. If you're a gamer, it's pretty nifty. We at one stage paused it just to see everything he had on the shelf. Like
we paused it for way too long, I think.
Yeah. But it is, to be honest, like this is also what we got to the point saying this room feels like a room made for our generation. Like so we're like, cause he's coming closer to his 30s. I'm turning 31 this year, and the mentions of Pokemon, and I know Pokemon's been around for a while, and video games, and the general feel of it felt more like what things were like when we were teenagers, rather than what I imagined.
I think that's why I paused it, because it's a shot of like essentially this kid's gaming setup, I suppose.
Yeah,
like everything he has. I paused it because they kept talking about like it was just like 16, 17-year-olds talking about Pokemon and Doctor Who. Didn't feel like the things that 16-year-olds today would be referencing all the time. Yeah. So I paused it. So I was like, what's he got going on here? And then it turned into some weird competition where we were each trying to name as many consoles that he had we could. And he has so many of them. He is.
The worst part was? The worst part was we were trying to figure out for 20 minutes what things were, and then we pressed play, and it instantly focused into a much sharper image.
I paused it like a frame too early when it was out of focus.
Yeah, but so I loved Henry. So Henry's there for Mark to basically come to and tell him about his experience. And Henry's distracted enough by playing his video game that even when Mark tells him stuff that doesn't make sense at all, he's like, okay, Mark, that doesn't make sense, but whatever. I'll give you my, opinions and what you should do. And in a way, he plays the wise man on the hill who meditates. He is doing his own thing, but people come to him for advice and help and then go on that way. Because of the nature of the time loop, this is all Henry is. All Henry is a guy who plays video games all day, every day, for forever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's essentially a sounding board for Mark in this movie.
Yeah.
Anytime Mark needs to... Well, like, you get the impression, because Mark's doing it every day anyway, so you kind of get the impression at the start of the movie that maybe he just, like, it's part of his routine as well. He just goes and hangs out with Henry for, like, 20 minutes or something. But then, like, after he meets Margaret and things start changing, he goes there every day and he, like, vents and he talks. He uses Henry to, even though Henry doesn't know what the hell he's talking about, and Henry can't really give him any answers. Henry, just the act of talking about it with another person helps Margaret get through things to the point where Margaret then does it when she's like struggling with stuff.
I can just say that's also a really dedicated friendship, because Kazi Owen is like one of my dearest friends for the longest time, right? But I'm sorry, if we lived near each other, there would not be a time where I just leave my window a bit for you to climb in and just start talking to me when I'm doing randomly anything. Like, I still want that little barrier where I just get myself ready. It's just like, I could be doing anything. Like,
Dan, we lived together for a year and I wasn't allowed in your room.
Yeah.
We're not like yeah. Everybody needs space.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah. And like, yeah, that's the thing. Like, and it's not even anything like, I'm not trying to be filthy about, but like anything, you could just be wanting a minute to yourself reading a book, and then just some idiot jumps through the window and starts talking to you about their time travel girlfriend. And it's just like, oh, for fuck's sake, you know. You want like give me 5 minutes at least.
Some forward notice would be nice.
Yeah. But yeah, I love his character. Like all the characters, I think in this are pretty well thought out. You know, except for the characters that aren't really characters, like that girl he fancied at the swimming pool. She was just a plot device more than anything else. But all the other characters that were really interesting. Even his sister, when she like hits down to here, maybe think about other people. Dad lost his job, and they're worried about things like, you know, this is why he's writing the Civil War.
Yeah, because Mark thought that their dad quit. Mark thought that his father was having some sort of midlife crisis and quit his job to write a novel about the Civil War.
Yeah,
that's because of his own self-centered view on the world. He didn't really stop to think about that there could be something else going on until his little sister has to tell him, you know, he got let go. Like, it wasn't like he's not quit his job to ride motorcycles down Route 66 or something. Like, he lost his job and he's trying to make the best of that situation.
Let's move on a little bit. So the movie is called you know, the map of what's it called? Jesus. The map of tiny perfect things, right? And let's talk about the map. So Mark has been drawn every day in this, and he's been drawing this map, and he's been trying to like plot all these tiny perfect things that are going on in the town. And it's simple stuff like a truck stopping just behind a guy sitting on a bench and the wings being on the van. We're not going to talk about that.
Yes, we are.
No, we're not. Also, it wasn't that scene. It was a later scene with her, which I just felt like
If anybody saw my tweet yesterday, I screenshotted that image of the wings on the guy's back, and I said, this shot is beautiful and should be taught in film studies classes. I don't know if anyone doesn't get that reference. That's from when season 8 of Game of Thrones was airing. There was a shot in like episode 5 or 4 or 5 maybe, when Daenerys is walking into like the Iron Throne area and Drogon flies up behind her, and there's a moment in the shot where Drogon's body is directly behind Daenerys, but his wings are like, they look like they're coming out of Daenerys' shoulders. After that episode, some dude on Twitter like screenshot that, and that was the caption he put on it. This shot, and he was sincere, obviously. Oh, he was being completely sincere. Yeah, this shot is stunning and should be taught in film studies classes. And it was just memed to death, and it was all I could think of when I saw that scene.
It's kind of like with Zack Snyder, when people who defend everything of his movies, you just don't understand it. You don't understand the metaphor. And like the images, and it's just like that time when Superman is in the church and there's a mosaic of Jesus Christ, and Mark says, "But am I there to sacrifice and save everyone?" It's just like, oh my god, is this the subtlety you're talking about?
It's really not that like, it's not that oblique.
But Jesus imagery, anytime he's like in space and he's just hands out, it's like, lads, look, there's nothing wrong with actually enjoying Zack Snyder. If you enjoy his movie, fair play to you. There's a lot of scenes I enjoy as well. He certainly he knows how to do that endorphin, like adrenaline scene. They're nice, right? But do not come to me and say you just don't understand the depth of Zack Snyder. Like, that's not what he's about. I'm sorry, he's not. It's like the depth of a teenager who's making his first movies. Like, that's what Zack Snyder does.
I said 2 weeks ago I don't want to talk about Zack Snyder anymore.
Well, too late.
So I'm not doing it. I'm not getting drawn in.
You know where I'm coming from anyway. Like, it's
yeah.
So So they go on this treasure hunt to collect every nice thing, and he keeps on mentioning that he keeps feeling that there should be a pattern. Like he feels like a pattern would emerge if he looked at this map for long enough. And this is probably a time where we can say that Margaret is obsessed with hypercubes or tesseracts, not from Marvel, which is, yeah. Let's not go into explain how hypercubes work because that's a different podcast. But it's basically a fourth dimensional object, and it leaves a fourth dimensional shadow. And she suddenly realizes, "Hey, look at this map. It's on a flat plane, so it's like a 2D from a 3D world." And then she tapes it up, measuring up time as well, I think, on the strings and beads. And she casts a shadow, and she almost has the hypercube right, except for one thing, which goes to, where does it lead to again?
The swimming pool at 7 p.m.
The swimming pool
is the missing
corner
the finalist
of
the Tesseract.
Yeah, and she heads there at 7 p.m. and they have their kiss, and this is where Mark suddenly really realized that the story wasn't about him; it was about her, and how moments don't have to be perfect to be important as well. Like because obviously she wears tights and just dips her feet right into the water. it's just really, I don't know why I have such a, like, you know when like people scratch like a chalkboard for the first time, like that's the reaction I got from that. It's just like, why am I having this reaction? I've never established this before. What's going on? Horrible. Anyway, and they have their kiss, and he goes to the hospital with her, and she gets to say a proper goodbye to her mother, saying it's okay now, you can move on. And time moves onwards.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they've broken the time loop because Margaret is ready to move on.
Yeah, we also got that's when we were told kind of like, oh yeah, she really wished that the day wouldn't continue, like tomorrow wouldn't come. And I guess there's some nebulous time ghost god that went, all right, but we're going to make a weird hypercube puzzle for you. Could you go like, okay, look, I'm ready to move on now. Can you move on? All right, buddy, off you go.
Look, it's as plausible as any plot reason in any of these movies.
Yeah, to be honest, look, it is. It's, dare I say, more plausible than Groundhog's Day.
It's more plausible probably than Edge of Tomorrow's alien hive mind
that allows time travel.
Yeah.
Yeah, because as we know, like when time travel is going to be discovered, it's through biological means.
Yeah,
you know. Yeah. That's the movie, and we'll go on to the next section unless you have anything else to say.
No, let's do it.
So, Jesus moment. I'm going to be honest with you. This movie isn't full of Jesus moments. This movie is I think the closest Jesus moment I had, and I'm not going to mention the one in the swimming pool because I feel uncomfortable talking about that. But it's where he gets something and he goes up behind a woman whose skirt is tucked into her underwear because she didn't get properly off the bathroom. And he just kind of pulls her skirt back down, and that moment itself isn't the worst thing in the world because she didn't notice and they went on the date. It's nice, but the fact is, he had to practice that, and we've seen that he is not the best at practicing. He fucks up a lot when he practices in time loops over and over over again.
Mm-hmm. Chances are, in at least 7 of his attempts, he probably missed the dress and just pinched that woman with a pair of tongs,
or used his hands.
Yeah,
or
mm-hmm.
Or he told her. Like, I'm gonna be honest with you, if I was in that kind of, probably would just avoid that part of town at that time for a little while, just not be involved at all. Just like, I'm not gonna dip my hands in there or tongs, and let time do its own thing there. Off you go. But yeah, that's probably my OJ's moment because it raises a lot of questions. Yourself?
I mean, I'm gonna pick the kiss.
The kiss.
I gotta pick the kiss, and it's not this is a positive Jesus.
Yeah.
That for me because. I'm a sap, and I was waiting for the whole movie.
You really were. Like every time I was giving out the signs, he was giving out the just kiss her.
Kiss the girl. She wants you to kiss her. Kiss the girl. Yeah, but it is a nice moment because you mentioned it briefly earlier that it's also like because she says to him before they kiss or whatever, she's like, it's not going to be perfect or whatever, blah blah whatever, and then he kisses her the first time and she stops. She's like, sorry, there was a hair in my mouth.
Yeah.
It's just cute. It's just nice little
nice.
like cutesy moments that I enjoyed.
And honestly, the whole movie is that. It's a very nice movie. There's some sadness in there too, but it's mostly just like this nice sort of surfing to, where it's going to end up. Things are going to be nice. It's almost like watching something about, because I think everyone has a certain level of trauma leaving their teenage years about embarrassing things or ways they thought about things and that kind of stuff. I think we've all been there. So these movies are always like therapeutic because we get to relive it a little bit and then just kind of like go, okay, it's fine now.
No, I was perfect.
Yeah,
I was
no comment. I was there.
My teenage years were a map of tiny perfect things, sir.
Yeah, if you lost the map. Anyway, let's not go back into our teenage years. We have to watch a movie again to deal with the trauma. But yeah, should we go on to our very last section?
Yes, Mr. Frodo. It's over now.
So, where does this movie rank for you in the whole idea of time travel, time looping? Where does it rank for you as a movie in general? You can skip the first part because I know you're not a sci-fi.
No, we were doing okay. I can tell you in terms of like time loop movies that I've seen, which I've seen Groundhog Day, I've seen Source Code, I've seen Edge of Tomorrow, I've seen Palm Springs. It's hard. It's kind of hard to. It's hard enough to rank them because while they share the core plot device, they're all very different takes on it. They're very different movies, which is it's interesting that the plot device is about everything being the same constantly. All the movies are fairly different. I don't know. I think for me, for my personal tastes, I really enjoyed this. It's got a lot of things that all of the trademarks that scream this is an own movie are plastered in this movie. I think that it's kind of cool that last week's episode we did like a head-to-head thing of two movies that are very similar. We could have done that again this time round. Like we honestly could have taken Palm Springs and gone head-to-head on them because they're very similar. They're different. Like they have a different point of view on the things that happen in them, and Palm Springs is definitely more like
zany,
adult as well. I think, but
I think I honestly think this movie, Map Time Perfect Things, I think it's actually more realistic to me. I think.
Well, here's the thing. You fell asleep during Palm Springs.
I did fall asleep during Palm Springs. Yeah. I was not even. By the way, it's not that I didn't like the movie. It was a grand movie. It's Andy Samberg, and I love Andy Samberg. Fuck Brooklyn Nine-Nine, great show with him in it. But he does a lot of the same jokes. It's the same sort of rhythm to everything he does.
Yeah, I mean that's like comedic actors, like comedians who become actors. I suppose is the correct term for it. Your Adam Sandler's, your Will Ferrell's, your SNL alumni movies.
Yeah,
have a grace period where they'll get 2 or 3 movies that are going to be really popular and people are really into it, and they'll be like, "Oh yeah, I love Will Ferrell. He's amazing." Yeah. And then it's done. It's kind of like after that point, they're the same. It's the same humor and the same characterization and the same like the plot is different, the situational stuff is different, but the rest of it's the same in every movie.
The only actors I can really think of that didn't follow that was Jim Carrey and Robin Williams, but that's because both of them also went for dramatic movies. after a time.
Yeah, they did,
decided
and
to be
I will say to give Adam Sandler his credit, he's doing that now as well.
Yeah,
because
well, it only took about 25
only
years.
took about 25 years, and he's still making the other stupid movies because he has like a 15 movie, $60 billion contract with Netflix to make a movie a year or some crap.
Fuck, that sounds absolutely terrible. I could.
Oh,
like,
they
no
basically
wonder.
were like, here's a shitload of money, Adam Sandler, but you have to make us one movie a year. So that's why he made that weird Hoobie Halloween thing last year. He made the what was the one? It's like a Western ripoff or something. The Fateful Six, the Furious, I don't know, something. But he also made, yeah, possibly. But he also made Uncut Gems,
which is
an absolutely astoundingly brilliant film, and not a comedy at all. It's just a really good movie, and he's really serious in it. It's very, it's like, it's just hyper intense. It's a brilliant movie, and he's brilliant in it.
Yeah, and I think this is when comedic actors really show their skill. Because I mean, Danny DeVito, you could say as well. Though I say that Danny didn't start from being a comedian, I don't think, but he's been a comedic actor from the start. I think more or less.
Yeah.
Yeah. But he's still doing really fantastic stuff, and like some of these are just genuinely dramatic, interesting things. Now, saying that, he's mostly known for his comedic stuff, like It's Always Sunny or Twins and that kind of stuff. But all his work seems to have a bit extra to them than just comedy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All that to say, I quite like this movie, and Palm Springs is also good. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. I like this movie. It's a very chill movie. It's a very relaxed movie. It's very much a movie you'll watch half-heartedly on a sofa on like a sunny afternoon, as we did. I recommend people watch it if you're not put off by teenage romance stuff. If you are, this is not your movie.
I'll tell you, it's something I could compare to in terms of that kind of coming of age sort of thing that's going on here. Is there's a movie, God, when did it come out? God, it's about 10 years ago now, actually, now that I think of it. But it's called The Spectacular Now. And it stars Miles Teller and, Shailene Woodley are in it. And it's that kind of like young love, romantic sort of thing, with a somewhat flawed male character and, learning life lessons and that sort of thing. Yeah. With like a bunch of time loopy stuff thrown in on top of it.
Okay. All right, cool.
Well, that was it.
I'm going to check that out. I thought you were going somewhere with that.
No, that was it. This is the Spectacular Now is kind of like that. Spectacular Now is a bit more heavy, I think, in terms of dramatic sense. But
okay, well, I mean, I think that's it for today. Anyway, from me, is it for you today? What? Those were words. I'm not sure the syntax was correct, but those were words.
You said something there, I think.
They were the correct words to use. Maybe not in that order, It was like a car crash of different languages coming together there.
Yeah.
But yeah, hey, you are in charge of next week's movie. What are we watching next week? And let's hope it's something that we can be friends about and talk nicely about. Because holy shit.
Okay. Here we go.
Okay.
John Woo. Nicolas Cage. John Travolta. Face Off.
I fucking knew it. Actually, you know what? Yeah, I'm looking forward to this. I haven't watched it in a while.
It's Face Off. It's the best movie ever, and they're remaking it at the moment. So we're gonna watch Face Off.
I mean, don't get me wrong. Look, spoiler alert, I liked the movie, but it wasn't a good idea at the time, and it certainly isn't a good idea now to remake the movie.
It's an incredible movie.
I suppose now that we've actually had surgeries where people have their faces like from other people, now it's actually like, oh yeah, that's possible.
Yep, We're getting in there.
Okay.
The cagiest of the cages and the Travoltist of the Travoltas.
Yeah. Yeah. If that's it for us today, first of all, folks, I hope you enjoy yourselves. It's nice that you're back. We're looking forward to doing more head-to-head stuff. But if you have any program ideas that you like to suggest, or any movies you would like to suggest, please comment. We'll be happy to read them. And yeah, I hope you keep listening, obviously, and I hope you keep enjoying ourselves here. Like us, subscribe, follow us on any social media you do. Any comments, folks, are always appreciated on our posts. And that's it from me. Is it from you, Owen?
That's it, Brett.
Bye-bye.
Asher, look.